Yeah, I think there's two major trends right now in the industry, and one of them being how patient insurance in the U.S. impacts a patient's accessibility into certain therapies that they may need. And I think another trend is how companies are improving their efforts in DEI in clinical trials.
Yeah, so on our side with the commercial sourcing, one thing that we're seeing is more utilization of the retail pharmacies. So that would be like your CVS and Walgreens. And so instead of the bulk large orders where you have a lot of waste, we're using the retail network, and so there's less forecasting, and it pretty much eliminates all of your waste.
We're starting to see a lot more integration and advanced capabilities within service provider networks, specifically with IRTs, being able to take data and translate that into actionable information for sponsors to use to better optimize their supply chains.
So we were discussing how optimization in clinical trial supply is just of the utmost importance. We shared some information that we had been gathering from the market about what we're hearing are the biggest challenges, barriers to success, things like that. We then discussed some of the technology that we've built to help address some of those challenges. And then we're also able to cover a couple of case studies which highlighted some successes from some of our customers who have applied that technology and really observed tons of savings. They were able to hit their sustainability goals.
There's a lot of development in cell and gene therapy, especially with personalized medicine, and automation is driving that even faster. So we are seeing drug development processes too fast to cope up with the supply chain logistics at the end. So I'm seeing a merger of automation, innovation, AI with pharma.
A lot more in clinical trials is relying on computing and the protection of data. A lot more details about how to make sure that the clinical trials don't fail for some of the more common reasons that we've seen in the past.
I think specifically with direct-to-patient, it was a big deal during COVID to be able to have those kinds of possibilities. I think the industry is pulling back a little bit on that now and only using it in special use cases where it really makes sense for the individual drug or the patient population.
I think time to execute a trial is getting really quick, and there's a lot of barriers in place to import into the US before you have an IND filed. So we talked a little bit about that yesterday. People had some questions about ways around, not needing to wait that long before they can ship into the US with import for export and shipping into Canada. So I think we'll continue to see maybe CMOs take advantage of putting themselves in places to allow for quicker importation around some of those issues. And the regulations are always changing, so it's just good to kind of stay up to date on that.
Yeah, I would say sometimes something like clinical trial supplies is actually a very manageable thing, and if you really spend some time managing it appropriately, you can save a lot of costs, minimize risk, increase time. And so I think it's one of those nuggets that if you get control of, it can really change the trajectory of your clinical research.